Oh, shit, it's me. Content warning.
We'll blame it on John.
This podcast contains bones, blood, smut, and swear words.
Before we get into the good shit this week, we wanted to take a moment to thank all of you. First, we want to give a huge shout out to all of our patrons for giving us the opportunity to make this show and also engage in some of the extra nonsense we dabble in for our bonus episodes. And we also want to most sincerely thank literally everybody listening to this podcast. Maybe you've left us a review, maybe you've shared us with a friend, maybe you're just sitting there chuckling along with us or talking back to us out loud on public transportation like Hannah does. The point is, thank you. You are really, really cool. Okay, now we can dive right into the Bone Zone.
Act 1. Welcome, penitents. Hello and welcome to the Frontline Fifth, a Lock Tomb podcast where two brand spanking new novitiates explore the Lock Tomb series for the first time, while a trio of dried out bone witches cackle over how little they really know. That's right. This week we are a trio of bone witches. I'm your host, Hannah, representing January in our calendar of decrepit Ninth House nuns, and I'm joined this week by Marie. Marie, what month do you want to be?
I'm going to stick with my birthday month, and I'm going to be September. It's nice, it's crisp, it's fall, I love it. It's a good month.
I love that for you.
Is this something we're not supposed to know what you're talking about?
What?
How do you choose a calendar
I just thought
month?
it would be funny if we had a sexy calendar like firemen, but instead it's decrepit Ninth House bone witches.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Brooke, did you not look at my vision board that I sent you? Is this
No.
do you not open my text?
Sexy nun calendar vision board?
Did you not get the invite for the photo shoot when we're all in San Diego?
I didn't.
Oh man, this is getting awkward. We shouldn't do this in front of our guests because we're also joined today by brand new bone witch Lizzi of niche fandom TikTok fame. And Lizzi, I do have to admit, I've only gotten as far as typing "what is a TikTok" into AskJeeves.com, so I'm not firsthand familiar with your work. But Marie tells me that you are the deep theory master. And so I have been picturing your month in our calendar with like skeletal hands and a kind of evil plan position. Do you want to make any adjustments before the photo shoot?
I think I'll add some nice rolling hills in the background because there are so many hills that I'm prepared to die on. And in this series... In a series where resurrection exists, I've got infinite lives to give, baby.
Hey! Oh, that is such a fucking good answer. And I also really appreciate that you're bringing some true high art to it as well as a metaphor. That's solid. Can you give us a little bit of insight into who you are, both on and offline? What got you into the Lock Tomb universe? What kinds of things do you want to explore? What are the little itches? What are all those hills you're dying on?
I think that a lot of people pick up this series because someone they know really loves this series. That was not the case for me at all. I got it from the library on a whim. I almost didn't read it because I was like, I don't know if necromancy is my thing, but I was like, fuck it, this is the only audiobook I have. So I started it, became obsessed.
You started with the audiobook?
Yeah.
Oh.
Moira Quirk's where it's at. I couldn't reread like you guys. I was just I'm powering through.
But that's this thing of immediate obsession is so real. I mean, I was trying to discuss it with people who had never read it. I was trying to force other people to read it.
No, that was me too.
In a desperate attempt to talk to someone about it.
Well, I'm surprised you said that you did pick it up just kind of independently from the library. It being an audiobook maybe changes this, but the cover art is not always the most appealing thing in my opinion. Or did you look at it and go, that looks cool?
I don't think I did. I think I'd seen it on a list somewhere that was gay books. And I was like, all right, sure. Yeah. I go into books completely blind. I'm I don't,
That's
yeah,
so
whatever.
Cool.
I fucking love
call
that
it
for
library
you.
roulette, where I get a list from usually TikTok and just put it on Libby. And then I'm like, here we go.
Wow.
Yep.
So do you start a book very frequently and just stop? Or do you just always read the whole thing and then you're like, eh?
I finish pretty much everything I read. I would have to really hate something to put it down.
I have only one or two books that I have actually not read to the end, and I've regretted several.
Yeah, there you go. So what was it about the series that like tickled you so much that it's become something you talk about online?
I think the humor for me was what really got me hooked, and the relationship's very compelling. Like, I saw the first, like, the opening fight, and I was like, these bitches are so obsessed with each other. I just had to see that through.
You're not wrong. This checks out entirely. So you've heard a little from them already, but also with us today are our most iconically brilliant rampant speculators, Brooke and John. Brooke, John, this is a vague question, and I actually would love to hear Lizzi jump in as well. What does it feel like doing rampant speculation about this series? Like, did you expect this to be something you would be thinking about during reading it? Are you the kind of person, so I will say for free, I am the kind of person who like turns off an episode of Severance and turns to my husband and I'm like, here's what's going to happen. Like I have like a whole list of theories immediately. Are you that person?
No, absolutely not. I want to hear what John says because he's, honestly, I wouldn't be doing any of this rampant speculation to any sort of depth that we do it if John hadn't been like sitting there like making it happen and showing me up constantly.
You know, the three of you have intellectually demanding jobs. And hobbies and other things as well. And I do not have an intellectually demanding job. I work in corporate America. And so doing this type of thing with pretty much any piece of media I consume is like one of my favorite things, is trying to like get the twists and like nail like the plot points that are coming and all that fun stuff. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I expected a little bit of this, but I think it's a credit to how brilliant of a writer that Tamsin is, that it feels like it's actually worth it to dig in this much. And that, you know,
you were rewarded once and you can't get enough.
Yeah, the breadcrumb trail actually goes places, right? Like there's no, like Chekhov's gun always gets fired. There are so many little hints and little payoffs and everything else. And it's just so well put together that I think this series is a little bit unique in that it allows you to build like all of these theories and everything. And then also this like 2-chapter a week thing is killing me still from like the very beginning of the format until now. It has fueled the rampant speculation.
It's hard not to imagine that Tamsin Muir is the kind of person who like picks up little breadcrumbs when she's reading or thinking or watching stuff and is constantly predicting. But I may be projecting. I started doing this thing. My mom used to hate it because my dad in the middle of a movie would announce who the murderer was, you know? And my mom was like not a fan of this. Yeah, well, so I don't do that. So instead...
Wait, was he usually right?
Oh, almost always.
Shit.
But yeah, exactly. So I'll make a note on my phone so that it's time-stamped so you know how good I was. And then I also don't show it to anyone if I don't get it right. So it's a kind of a win-win for me. Lizzi, are you the kind of person who's like always kind of, you know, trying to like pull at the threads and see what unravels?
I think I like to be right. So if I'm reading alone, then I don't care. But if I'm like reading something or watching something with someone, then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to guess it. I'm guessing what's happening.
This is very relatable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just too competitive for my own good. But yeah, this one, I was listening audiobook like at my job. So I was not piecing things together. I was just like raw dogging. I didn't even read this book, Gideon, as a mystery. I was just like, oh yeah, they're just dying. Someone's probably doing it.
Right. Was not a whodunit until the very end. You're like, oh, I guess that was whodunit.
Well, yeah, the whole time I was just like, it's a monster. I wasn't like, oh, I should be looking at the people.
That's fair.
I'm the type of person who gets very like I can't let things go, and it pains me that there isn't somebody in my like real life that I could like force into my obsessions, and so that I have to like thank God for the internet, you know, like thank God that there's like YouTube channels that I can like binge when I'm reading something or doing, but there wasn't quite enough, and I was like I have to create it.
I also think we got real lucky with this because this is, Brooke, you say you're not a person who does this, but holy shit, Brooke, you are like phenomenally good at laying out where all the holes are. Like, what is the limits of what we know and what we don't know? I feel like it's been fun to watch you.
I'm very comfortable not knowing what's going on. Like, the answer of I don't know is perfectly fine for me. And so when I'm lazy, which is most of the time that I don't have to work, I'm like very comfortable with, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, then you force me to talk about it and it's like, shit. Then I approach it like I have to do research job.
Lazy thing aside, because I do relate to that, what you just said was the least relatable thing that I've ever heard. I'm very uncomfortable with not knowing what's going on. Dear listener, here's what's going on now. This week we're doing something really different. I'm really excited about it. We're going to get into some of the unhinged, and I mean completely lacking hinges, theories that have been sent to our Frontline Fifth inbox by our fans. And my dear co-host, I'm so excited for you to experience some of these unhinged theories because, wow, our fans are batshit crazy. They are as crazy as us and twice as brilliant. I feel really seen and a little bit competitive. We already talked about that. The way it works is this. In the first half of the episode, we're going to discuss fan theories that can reasonably be expanded upon with things we know just from Gideon the Ninth, Harrow the Ninth, and the short stories that our newbies have read. And then, as is tradition here on Frontline Fifth, we will kick Brooke and John out in airlock so the grown-ups can finish talking about the theories that touch on everything up to Electo. And at any point, we're going to invite our new bestie, Lizzi, who, after all, has the deep lore and the big brain, to bring up new and interesting theories to add in. I have edited these series to keep them medium concise and redact spoilers. And dearest listener, if I missed your favorite theory, I am genuinely sorry. You should keep sending them. Before we start, I do have just one question. I have mentioned several times on the podcast one of my favorite theories that was ever sent to us from Emily L. had me falling out of my chair laughing. So Emily wrote, after Ianthe messed with Harrow's hair follicles, I am 100% convinced that she did the same to Corona and Babs. Corona has big hair and big boobs. Boobs have fatty tissue, and we know how much Ianthe loves fatty tissue. So here's
Jesus
my question
Christ.
for all of you. If you could do one thing to your own body with necromancy, what would it be?
I want to be taller. The worst insult anybody's ever told me was that I have like short person energy. And I took that to heart. It's very upsetting.
What does that even mean?
I don't know, but I can only take that as an insult.
Your short person energy is hella hot, Brooke, and I think
Thank
you should lean into
I'm
it.
also
John, what's yours?
Perfectly average, by the way.
That's what a slightly shorter than average person would say.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm going to do what every man would do given this power, and I'm going to give myself an extra few inches on my arms. Bet you saw that going somewhere else.
It's beautiful. Mwah, delivery was great. I loved it.
Do you want me to go further? Do you want me to expand on that or no? We're just moving right past that?
Nope.
Okay.
I think you gave us everything we needed to know.
I don't want to understand.
Well, I'm picturing you as like a gibbon now. Like I'm picturing a lot
like
of extra
swinging.
arm.
No, I have a negative wingspan despite my height, which is really depressing. So, like, even just giving myself normally long arms would be great.
That's like a disadvantage for volleyball. How did you get in here? Hello, dog. You're not supposed to be here. Just a second. Go away.
Hi, Taz.
Mine is like really depressing. I am going for liposuction. Like losing weight is hard.
Lit. Fabulous. Sounds fine. Totally reasonable.
So it's like the anti-Anthe. Or would you hire Anthe to do that too?
I would hire Ianthe. Like she's good at fat, so I figure she'd be great at liposuction.
Great.
She'd keep it.
She needs it.
Yeah, she'd use it. It'd be great for her. I was really disappointed in myself. I couldn't think of anything better. But yeah.
It's your honest answer. I'm here for your truth.
Dude, hot take. Just like be whoever you are, including whoever you necromantically would be. And so I thought about a number of different things. I thought about being 6 foot, which I would prefer
think about
to
horns?
be. I thought about Brooke. I thought about removing all of my underarm hair because I really don't like shaving. But I eventually decided that what I want more than anything is a tail. So, Brooke, very well done. That is like, I'm still a little bit on the fence about whether I want like a prehensile monkey tail
need
or a tail that wags because
Wagging.
I really think that I can't convey my like enthusiasm sufficiently without a dog tail. So, feel free to write into us and vote on what kind of tail I'm getting, but that's what I'm doing. Lizzi, what are you getting?
I feel like I did not expand my horizons enough when I planned my answer.
You're allowed to pivot at any point.
This is true.
Or you could do what Marie does, and everybody breaks the rules here except for me, so you could always just,
You can literally change your pivots if you want. You can make your knees go backwards.
Oh my god. That actually grosses me out, I'm not gonna lie.
horrifying.
Ooh. No, what I would do is I would standardize my ear size because I've become so paranoid lately. I'm convinced my ears are different sizes, and no one in my life will confirm this. Like, everyone's like, we can't even see both your ears at the same time. And I'm like, I know they're different.
You're like whipping your head back and forth as quick as possible, trying to. It's fucking funny. Oh my God, that's amazing. Oh, with that, I think we should just dive into the chaos.
Aren't we there?
Act 2. Tell me the implications.
This section of the podcast is safe for anyone who has read Gideon the Ninth, Harrow the Ninth, The Mysterious Study of Dr. Sex, and As Yet Unsaid.
We are going to start with some theories around Commander Wake. We saw her die on screen, per John's comment from several episodes ago, but what even is death these days? So, Marie, do you want to read our first theory? I have mentioned this one a couple times now, but I love it so much I wanted you all to discuss it.
Okay, so this is from listener Joshu. I was rereading the passage where Pyrrha, newly independent in Gideon's body, strides in and shoots Wake, and the way that passage is written makes me wonder if there is scope for Wake's revenant soul to have persisted, perhaps attached to Pyrrha's gun. I just wonder if there could be some spirit-swapping, revenant shenanigans happening here. I mean, I also love it and am tremendously moved by it if it is Pyrrha rescuing her lover from Jod's interrogation and allowing her the peace of death finally. That would be really romantic. But I just feel like Wake wouldn't be that relieved/stoked about just being killed, and the way that it's specifically written that Pyrrha Gideon touches the gun to Wake Kitharea's head.
This is true. We didn't really talk about this all that much, like what the exchange of expressions kind of implied. But I think this is cool. It was a very expectant look that Commander Wake gave Pyrrha /
There's this weird thing where, like, so the first time I read it, the first, 80 times I read it, I felt like it was Pyrrha just trying to shut up Wake, like trying to not get caught in front of Jod. But I really like this take that there's actually more going on under the surface, that there's more intention there. And it is kind of weird to literally hold the gun up to the head. You don't need that.
Dramatic effect.
But no, I actually really like this one, and I'm disappointed that one of us didn't think about this or at least mention it. This is
okay, John. Can't all be brilliant everywhere. This is cool, yeah.
I like this. Yeah, I feel like Wake's personality she would still try to come back again as a revenant. I don't know if there's like a 3 strikes and you're out type situation where it's like she's been in a sword, she's been in a body, she's been
in bones.
In bones, like
in a dead body and some bones.
Like,
At
a certain point, you gotta feel like it's harder and harder to come back, or at least I assume it has to be. Like, is it like
I don't know. If you could, because the alternate is usually just going crazy, and if she survived this long, why not?
I wonder if I'm being polluted by the like Abhorsen series, where it's like every time like it happens, you go further and deeper into the river.
Nice.
It also seems implied that Wake is very, very unusual in how tenacious she is about staying around. And the only other thing we've seen like this is like Dr. Sex, right? Mm-hmm. Like being tenacious and trying to come back for something. Like it's kind of weird. Like revenants don't try to come back.
No, it's like mad fucking willpower in both the Wake example and the Dr. Sex example. And I think it is also notable that Wake has some statements in the river bubble where she's basically like, I could do this all day. This is easy mode. Like, I think she has a lot of practice. If anything, it's making her better. What's your take, Lizzie?
Wake to me is just kind of unkillable, honestly. I'm just like
God.
She's around. Yeah, honestly. I feel like it is something that Pyrrha would do, but it's so hard to say because, like, Pyrrha's not a necromancer, Wake is not a necromancer, so, like, how would they possibly control that? Or is it just a shot in the dark?
Yeah, there's, like, a lot going on there that's not clear, and the other thing is, like, how much communication would they have had beforehand? They've made out via Kitharea's body. Like, have they had a conversation about, like, what to do in, certain circumstances? It could go either way.
God,
but I think the real question is...
Well, it's also, we make a big deal about the makeout. Also, Wake tried to kill Gideon. Wake and Kitharea's bodies tried to kill Gideon. So.
Great point. You know what? she's got big, strong feelings in multiple directions. So how unhinged is this theory on a scale from Brooke to John?
Do we want to establish that scale?
This is Brooke and John cooking together for about an hour.
Yes.
I love that.
This is mostly hinged. This is fine.
Mostly hinged.
Yes.
This is like very clever, but reasonable and logical.
Brooke has been pulling for the Gideon Wake relationship for a long time, though, so I feel like maybe I would lean more to Brooke.
Thank you. That's exactly right. I'm looking for this like deep-seated romance here, this unlikely romance.
Oh man. Well, I mean, Brooke, do you want to take this next one then?
So from listener Megan R. Marie and Hannah were discussing how Wake must be special in some way, like a resurrection beast or a secret necromancer or fancy ghost. I was thinking that maybe she could have absorbed some sort of power from Jod via being pregnant with Gideon, maybe? I did a tiny bit of Googling. Megan R. says they're not super sciencey. And found this article about how fetal cells migrate to the mother. This is cool.
Oh, okay. I have so many thoughts about this, and my first most important thought is that fancy ghost. I just love fancy ghost as like a term. I'm sorry. This is like my only goal in life now is to die and become a fancy ghost. I can't not see it as like immediately in Victorian clothing. But I actually really loved this. So if you're not aware, this is in fact true, that you get some degree of what we call mosaicism between fetal cells and maternal cells. The placenta is an organ that's made up of both kinds of cells, and you actually get a little bit of movement of fetal cells from the placenta that may actually hang out in mom indefinitely.
May have implications for autoimmune stuff later on, why women tend to have more autoimmune than men.
It's actually fascinating.
There's new technologies for being able to like sex your unborn child at like very early weeks, and it's by looking for a Y chromosome in the mother, which only works for the first child if you've had one boy already. But yeah, another piece of evidence that relies on fetal cells migrating into the mother's bloodstream.
So I'm living for this. I love this idea. And I actually, during most of Gideon the Ninth, Marie and I spent discussing a lot about like how special is Gideon, because we both knew that Gideon is the child of Jod. And there's a lot of instances in Gideon the Ninth where like I feel like a normal person ought to have died, but Gideon survived the entropy field shit.
Yep.
And so, you know, like is able to see the spots of light on Kithorea's construct. And it's like, is that just a question of the winnowing transfers process, or is Gideon sort of necromantic? And I also want to remind us about Gideon's non-rotting body in As Yet Unsent. So we have like all of these examples where Gideon's literal like biology is different. So I kind of dig the idea that Wake might be different too. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that ties in a lot with like the last question, right? Of like, how can a non-necromancer in particular, but like anybody last as a revenant for so long? And these things might be tied together as, well, I guess that would suggest it's not just changing on a cellular level, but like somehow spiritually.
I kind of go the other way with this. I like this theory, it's creative, but I just think, to borrow a phrase from the youth, I think Wake's just built diffy. And like that's that's just the way that she is.
I'm with John on this one.
Say that? Do you say that?
Can't we just say built different? That's
I've
Built
never
different.
said
Dudes.
diffy. I want to
like draw the line very clearly.
Okay. So Lizzie, you're in the same camp?
I think I'm in that camp too.
I just love the idea that Wake is completely untouched by John Gaius's bullshit, you know?
I love the way you say that.
I will say that, like, either way, regardless of the source, Wake is, I mean, you said yourself, like, she's got unkillable vibes. And maybe that's just straight up willpower, which would be fucking epic. But, like, the degree of charisma, the degree of, and we've not seen her charisma, but, like, Blood of Eden has posters of her face, you know? Like, she's got something special. She controls that river bubble. And it's not like Harrow is a shitty necromancer. It's not like Harrow does not have power. Fancy ghost? How unhinged is this fancy ghost on a scale from Brooke to John? Sorry, theory.
This sounds a little bit more like what I would posit. But it's it's something I would do that John's like, nah, I don't agree with that.
I'm going to say a 4 out of 10 on the unhinged scale.
This is rooted in
Where a
science
10
and not
is
in lore.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And since we are getting a bit into Jod and his powers, let's like take a couple theories from that side. So I will say this is an area where we bone witches have some information on the origin story that you newbies do not.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
I
exciting.
spoiled that a thing will happen. But none of us really know the extents or limits of Jod's powers. And I think that's like what a lot of the things that I've been thinking about come from. So John, would you do the honors on this one?
From listener Rachel L. about Jod being unable to detect Kithorea's body / wake in Kithorea's body. My thought about Jod not being able to detect wake is that from then on, she is more in the river than she is doing stuff on the Mithraeum.
Love.
That's interesting.
How is she able to, like, bodily move into the river if she's not a necromancer and not a lictor? Are revenants just special?
Well, I guess a question for our dried up bone witches would just be like, does a lictor's body stay as like a void? Basically, like, is it like undetectable because she's in a lictor body? Or is that like spoilery?
I have a couple of things I want to note here. We have this like weird moment that we actually all talked about a bunch where Kithorea's body's under the bed. Mm-hmm. And there are some
we
things
can ask
like
Lizzi.
Actually I would love to know what Lizzi thinks about this. But Harrow notes specifically that she can detect that like lemon scouring smell of Jod's power. And Jod seems like he can detect where Kithorea is until the moment when he says he can no longer detect her on the space station or anywhere. We also know he's a fucking liar. So like
grain of salt.
Lizzi, what is your take on this? Like, can Jod actually know where Kithorea's body is? Does he? I don't think he knows Wake is there.
I think that Jod downplays his power a lot. I think he definitely can. If the body was there, I think that he could have sensed it. I think that the body might just be gone. Like, was there a shuttle on the Mithraeum? Did she dip?
Are you shitting me right now?
One thing that always catches my attention in the back material of Harrow the Ninth, in like the pronunciation guide or like
subtle glossary, yeah. Full of weird Easter eggs.
Yeah, it says that Blood of Eden were enlivened by the reappearance of their legendary commander in the form of a revenant. So, like, was she there?
What?
Like, she had contact with Blood of Eden at some point, but we don't know where.
Girlfriend, wait a second. What's going... Wait,
I'm sorry, fucking nerd. I cannot believe the depth of this.
Okay, it gets more crazy. Because, okay, I do a full read through of the books once a year because I love to make rules for myself. I limit myself. But I am in the middle of my Harrow read right now, and I'm just at this part. I listened to, like, this part at work today. What happens is that Augustine blackmails Mercy about her, like, whole deal with Blood of Eden. He's like, if you do this, I won't tell God that you've been, messing around. And then the incinerator happens. Kithorea disappears. God says he can't detect her anymore. And then the next chapter after that is when Harrow meets Cam on a different planet that BOE has, like, set up. And Mercy goes to the moon to do whatever she's doing on the moon. I assume it's meet up with BOE again. I don't know. All that happens after Kithorea's body disappears from the station. So I'm like, did she go meet with Blood of Eden?
Oh my God, take the body with her when they left?
Oh my God.
I don't know how much location matters with the river bubbles, but in that same chapter, she also shows up in Pal's river bubble as a sleeper.
Oh my God. Like, I have full goosebumps. I actually sort of love the idea that if she is somehow sequestered on that planet when Harrow actually goes and interacts with Pal in his river bubble, that it, like, facilitates Wake's entry as well. That's bonkers. And it never occurred to me that she would actually be gone.
Me neither.
Okay, I'm broken.
Because as yet, like, I always assumed that as yet unsent and in Harrow meeting Cam and Pal in Harrow the Ninth overlapped. Do you think that?
No. I think that she meets Cam after As Yet Unsent. Because the way that they get to that planet is because of Judith and the Steely.
That's what I thought too. The timeline felt weird, but even though it felt also possibly coincidental because of the greenery. That's it.
I think it's a different planet.
We chatted about this a little bit, and we chatted about the possibility also that they could have traveled to this planet through the river, in which case Harrow may have an incorrect understanding of how far away it is.
I think it's the Steely, personally.
But even the Steely, didn't they say it would take 5 years to get over to the Mithraeum area?
Really?
But that was from Erebos, and I don't know that we know where Erebos necessarily was.
But, I mean, transitive property is all I can think of here.
Also, couldn't they just be lying? Like, God's like, oh yeah, I live super far away, and it's like, and so like no one goes and looks for him?
Exactly. I agree with you, John. Like I always thought somebody was lying to us about it somewhere because the timeline didn't make sense regardless.
He's one solar system over, just hanging out.
No, this is like why I need a tail, because you can't hear this, but under the table, my foot is going like, like I'm doing like the little wags. Like I can't. Anyway, I think it's important that we pivot from Jod being a giant liar to this next theory, which is less a theory than an observation, but it was so gloriously on point I wanted to share it. So it's from listener Corey. I recently rewatched the Wicked movie, hot, gorgeous, and Jeff Goldblum as the wizard reminded me so much of Jod. He acts like he knows what's best for you, and he's just a regular chill guy. He created this world, and everything he does is for the people there. It's actually just for him. He has all this power, but he's just down to earth and a nice guy, not, and very paternal. And when he loses control of someone, he immediately flips a switch and cannot think of anything else until that person is stopped.
Yeah, I completely agree with this characterization.
Yeah, dead on.
That's cool.
One thing I hadn't thought about actually is like talking about lying about your level of power, which is a key feature of the wizard. And I do think Jod has hella power, but I think he is not sharing his limits and extents with anyone. I think we already know that he lied about being like killable by the resurrection beast. So we already know he's lying in at least one direction about what he can accomplish.
Marie, do you disagree?
God's a piece of shit.
Nope, he's lying.
John, you should get that tattooed on you at this point.
Yeah, the issue is that a lot of people could interpret that the wrong way.
Yeah, you don't live in the right place for that.
Yeah.
No. What if you do Jod? You know what? What if you do John? You get a tattoo that says John's a piece of shit. And no, you know what? Let's just keep going. Lizzie, do you want to take this next one?
Okay, so from listener Colin, TLDR, theory is the entire universe as we know it is a river bubble Jod made.
What the fuck?
Jod can do time magic despite not having mastered time. He is shown to slow time several times in the series. We know that river bubbles obey the rules of the creator/strongest will. It makes sense that if Jod created the bubble, he could write the rules. Theory is roughly that Jod made a river bubble to wait out the time needed for redacted. He anchored the bubble in Canaan House, which is why it seems to be closer to the river, and which is why no other necromancers know how to build in the river. Jod didn't teach them that because he didn't want them to realize what they could do, just like the true lictor process. This one seems a little far-fetched to me, but it is a fun theory to throw around.
That's full John level.
Yeah, this is like a this is like a 9.5 out of 10 on the unhinged scale.
I am obsessed with our listener, Colin, who has written several times and carefully lays out the logic of his completely unhinged theories in this. I'm just completely on board. Colin, I'm all in.
Absolutely
keep sending
not.
them.
Don't do this to me. Oh, no, Colin should keep responding. This theory is breaking me. Colin, please. This is entertaining, but no, not this one.
Yeah, this broke me.
So Colin actually admits this one seems a little far-fetched, but I actually think, I don't know that I believe that everything is a river bubble. I do kind of love the idea of some degree of matrixing, where like the shit that you believe is real is not necessarily what's going on. But I also separately love and had not thought about this thing where Jod keeps complaining about not mastering time and then does like a slow time spell like 3 times in the book.
I don't know if it's actually slowing time or if it's just stopping other people.
Yeah, that was the argument we had a long time back, and I think...
Because it's like the soup scene, things still go splat. It's just the people aren't moving.
Honestly, I got the vibe that everything stopped, and then when he let it go, then like the blood splattered out.
That's what I thought too.
Physics continues.
Objects in motion stayed in motion.
Stay in motion.
Sorry.
Newton. One of my most hated tropes of all time is, oh, it was just a dream or it happened in a dream type thing. And so like if this ever actually became real, I would legitimately frisbee my, like, whatever I was reading on out the
With
nearest
John.
window.
This is one of the most influential and famous and important sci-fi writers, Philip K. Dick, who wrote the book that, like, for instance, Blade Runner is based on, and A Scanner Darkly and Minority Report. He does this thing. He's so fucking brilliant at coming up with these concepts and then does not know how to finish them out. And the last chapter is always like a complete panic, like, it was all a dream. Or like, and they all decided to just like do drugs instead. It actually cracks me up every time because I think he's this highly influential author who just like cannot finish a book to save his life.
I get that.
I mean, since we're talking about building in the river, can we pivot again to the structure of the river?
From listener LC, just noodling about your talk of beyond the river. I don't think it's the other bank. I think it's what's downstream. Rivers eventually run to the ocean. Also, the river is described as brackish, which normally happens where rivers meet the sea. I think Jod dammed the river, right at the point where it joins the afterlife ocean, and that's why everything is stagnant and gross. And maybe why the gross column stuff exists. Maybe the river is getting too full and it's going to burst its banks.
I do want to know what that would look like if the river burst its banks.
Oh my God.
Scary. Disgusting.
Dead things coming into the real world, right? Although it's also, everything about the river is so bonkers, right? Like, I love the river within the concept of death. There's a large number of traditions that have a river. Frequently, it's a river you need to cross. You have to pay the ferryman in order to get to like the land of the dead. It's unclear to me what happens on the bank if you can't pay the fucking ferryman. Do you just stay there? Is this purgatory? Right? Yeah. I love this because I had like been real focused on the stoma. And so for me, the river had a top and a bottom, and I'd forgotten there were banks.
Rivers flow.
And Marie reminded me that there were banks, and then this listener reminded me that there's also an upstream and downstream, and now I'm fucking in a 3-dimensional world.
Like it was a funnel before.
I like this because of the connotations of like brackish and saltwater.
Oh yeah. I think those are great ideas.
Very interesting.
I agree. I really like them laying it out as a river flows into the sea, and if you are stuck with brackish water, you never get to the salt water. That feels like it's been dammed. I think that's a really cool imagery that makes sense with kind of what we've been seeing.
But why? Why would you dam the river?
Oh, I've talked about this.
Oh, well, lay it on us, Brooke.
My thought was that this was like him searching for a soul.
Oh, yeah.
That he's lost somebody, and that maybe is the impetus for everything that's going on. Like, what is his driver? What is his motivation to like ever become the figure he is? And to me, it's, getting in touch, breaking death is usually with the intention of trying to get back somebody you lost. And so if you dam it, then they can never fully pass and you can rescue them, bring them back, blah, 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 blah. Obviously never a good idea in the end because people go crazy without their bodies. Souls go crazy typically.
There's also just like the very literal like sense of why you dam things, which is normally to create like a water gradient so that you can make a turbine.
For power.
Yeah, you use it for power.
Or maybe, you let it out in little trickles that are like controlled power releases.
Weird. So it could fuel him.
God's the turbine and spirits are the steam or the water in this case.
Wow. Anyway, any other thoughts?
I am not a science person. I'm English degree through and through.
Need that.
So, yeah. Generating power. I mean...
You like that theory the most?
I like that because John has so much power. It's like insane.
The burst its banks thing is pretty interesting too. I like that as like the idea that you're getting leaking of like death into life is kind of interesting. I'm also I'm so fascinated by the banks of the river, which seem to have like pebbles and driftwood and shit.
Yeah, why is there life forms that are not human souls? Weird.
It's a weird place.
It's not the river of human death, it's the river of death. Like there's all kinds of dead things in there.
Not nearly as many comments about other dead things. Where are all the other dead animals?
True. You only seem to get like accosted by ghosts of people, but I think it would be interesting if you're getting accosted by ghosts of just like pangolins and cows and shit.
The ghost of a cow.
How unhinged is this theory on a scale from Brooke to John?
This is nice in the middle, I think.
Yeah, I think I was going to go with like 5.5, 6.
Okay. Speaking of river bubbles, I didn't have any sort of transition here, but I think this is a fascinating question about the nature of necromancy and souls.
So this is from listener Elizabeth. There is one real book with content in Palamity's river bubble. Right before we find out about this book, the Gideon narration reminds us that nothing can be in the bubble that the inhabitants don't already know or didn't create, and that's why Harrow's letters would be unavailable there. But then, Palamides brings up the necromancer's marriage season, a terrible ninth house trope fest. Is the book so predictable that Palamides could consciously invent it himself? Had he read it before? Many chapters later, Harrow lies down in the tomb and gets hit in the face by Frontline Titties of the Fifth, which we all know isn't a real publication. My theory is that Frontline Titties is a fragment of Gideon's Nav's soul, encapsulated within Harrow, and therefore available in any soul space that Harrow inhabits. Why are you all giggling?
Because Frontline Titties.
Yeah, who doesn't want to get hit? Who doesn't want to get hit in the face by Frontline Titties?
Frontline Titties. That's, yeah. Okay. Should we rename the podcast?
There are listeners who were very, like, there are at least people on TikTok who were very disappointed that we didn't go full send on Frontline Titties.
Sorry.
And I was like, we would have gotten a very different audience.
Yeah, let me finish from listener Elizabeth. Okay, so her theory is that Frontline Titties is a fragment of Gideon's soul, encapsulated within Harrow and therefore available in any soul space that Harrow inhabits. Similarly, Elizabeth thinks that the necromancer's marriage season could be a fragment of Dulcinea's soul. The big problem with this theory is that Elizabeth doesn't know how Dulcinea would have transmitted that fragment to Palamides. It's possible that she deliberately prepared an encapsulation of part of her soul, but Elizabeth doesn't know how she could have handed it off. If revenants can be summoned by really intense fandom, maybe they can also gain entry via love?
I love this so much.
Yeah. This makes sense, I guess, fitting into, like, Tamsin's, like, universal, like, love is complicated. I really like this. I think this is great. This is a great theory.
Yeah. I actually loved this as well. One of the things I think is interesting is, one, I really appreciate that Elizabeth specifically brought up that you can literally summon a revenant via fandom, a la Noniad. Enough emotional connection means something. And the other thing that I think is interesting is this idea that potentially you are constantly being affected by the people you encounter and that you end up being a reflection of them to some degree, right? Like, and the people you love and who love you leave their marks on you. And that is, like, indelibly tied to your soul and your being. I don't know. I think that's lovely. Okay, there are things I love and things I just didn't love that much about Interstellar. But there's a weird moment in Interstellar when Anne Hathaway's character basically is speculating about the dimensionality of the universe and wondering about how love fits into it. That you can literally love across distance and time. And I think it's kind of an interesting thought that you really might be able to connect with someone just by your emotions alone.
This is like the corner of the dance card.
Do we think Dulcie is, like, split between river bubbles then? Like, is she aware of this at all?
Ooh.
I don't know. I think that would be hard to say that. Oh, God, do you really think that this is, like, portioning your soul?
It's unclear to me whether it's, like, divisible or just, like, infinitely
reminiscent.
I don't know.
Wake does get around, so maybe Dulcie does too.
Sometimes she gets around with two souls in the same body.
Yeah. I will also say, and I think this is, I don't want to, like, I just told you how much I like this theory. However, I don't know if Dulcinea read romances.
Right. We know Kithray does.
Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting question of, like, what do you leave and connect? And there is something to be said for, like, Palamides is looking around the room, sees the necromancer's marriage season, and manages to unconsciously manifest an entire plot based on...
What if what's actually happening here is the soul that was present in death right there was actually... Maybe that is a bit of Kithray and not Dulcinea, and it's not a sweet thing after all, since they were both present and dying.
Oh my gosh, not us ruining this wholesome theory.
It's so wholesome.
I know, it's such a good theory. Okay, all right.
Let's go with it for metaphor.
Yes, let's do it. Speaking of love, sort of, we talked a little bit in our As Yet Unsent episode about whether Coronabeth and Ianthe have a plan. And if so, whose plan it is and to what end. We've had several fans, including Evan T., Joe F., and Bethany C., who think the goal is for them to turn Corona into a necromancer.
Joe F. wrote, Ianthe's been covering for Coronabeth forever. If something that makes them uneven, Corona has always felt left out. Maybe Ianthe couldn't absorb her above and beyond the codependency, because the goal of becoming a lictor was to figure out how to make them equals, ?
I don't think it's to make her a lictor, or a necromancer.
I don't know that Coronabeth at this point would even want to be a necromancer.
I agree with that. I think she's very happy to have her own thing and wishes that she felt like she were good enough.
Can I float out there that maybe she would be a good, like, perfect Lichter process cavalier.
Oh my god, Babs was the test case, the beta product.
Yeah, like, Corona wants to be a cavalier. She keeps trying to offer. She offers to Judith, and Judith is like, no, honey.
Oh my god, that's where it's going to end up, John. They're going to have a perfect Lichter process. I so want it for them. They're both evil, aren't they?
Both Maria and I are like, ew.
What?
I'm sorry.
I don't know. I think they've got problems.
John,
This is a...
I hate Ianthe, and Brooke has loved Ianthe since the very beginning of this series.
Don't put words in my mouth. No, I don't love Ianthe.
I don't think you should.
I thought she
Don't
was
stop
like
yourself.
a little
Just
bit
give
funny.
in.
I kind of like a bitch.
She is. She's a very interesting character. Okay, so keeping with our twins, this next one was literally my favorite theory we've received because the narrative and symbolic logic is impeccable and it is so fucking unhinged. So, Lizzie, would you care to send it again from listener Colin?
Gosh, Colin, let's go.
Here we go. I think that Coronabeth and Ianthe's long-term goal is to resurrect their dead sister who died in the womb. Yeah, I know. Let's start with the easy one. Third house, 3. It would be cool and thematic for the third house to have triplets. We know Corona tried to strangle Ianthe in the womb. Thematically, that means Ianthe died or was close to death. This makes more nice symbolism. Corona, alive and strong. Ianthe, necro, very close to death. Unknown, literally dead. Also, we know that the energy in utero can help produce a necromancer and even a stronger one like Harrow. This could have helped with Ianthe being guaranteed necro, or even just a stronger
Greatest
one.
necromancer of her generation.
Allegedly.
Sorry, go on.
Babs is literally the odd man out. He's the replacement for the sister they couldn't have. Oof. We also know how carefully Tamsin and Ianthe choose their words. She was as necromantic as Babs, but Dad wanted a matched set. Note the word set, not pair. Maybe their dad didn't want a pair of necromancers, but a trio. And now we get to the last bit. From her own mouth. I'm interested in the place between death and life, the place between release and disappearance, the place over the river, the displacement, where the soul goes when we knock it about, where the things are that eat us. Y'all have talked about the river having 2 sides and how new information can come to those on the other side of it. This implies a meaningful afterlife of sorts. I posit Ianthe is interested in this specifically so she can resurrect her lost sister, and Corona is in on it, or maybe even drove it, and that's why she's been interested in liminal spaces and the river so fervently.
I want to point out that this sent John to pacing again. So
This gets my stamp of approval. This is an absolute unhinged theory. I love it.
10 out of 10.
I'm a huge fan of the digging into the wording, and now I'm kind of obsessed with like set versus pair. And it's certainly true that a trio works better for like the thematic nature of everything about the third. And we know Tamsin loves a trio, loves relating things to the Trinity, loves relating things to Mother Maiden and Crone. Marie and I were talking about behind the scenes whether that ever comes into it, but just like trios, classic trios. Part of why I loved this was that Brooke and John have been on this like very intense kick lately of the Orpheus story. And I love the idea that it's actually Ianthe who's trying to like Orpheus back her, dead triplet.
Her riplet. Sorry.
Her what?
Riplet? Like R.I.P. lit?
No.
My biggest holdup with this personally is that the references that are about the twins are like twin references. Like, I don't think... Like, you get... I think Cain and Abel is the most famous reference, which implies the opposite of what the series is saying. They're like, oh, they're going to resurrect their sibling. Sounds like one of them's going to kill the other. But we're going in the other direction. But also, in As Yet and Sint, there is a Jacob and Esau reference.
I missed that.
Okay, I should have looked this up beforehand, but at some point, Judith says to Corona, you're selling your birthright for economics. Do you guys know this Bible story at all?
Not really.
No.
Okay,
Ethan.
so they're twins in the Bible, Isaac's sons, maybe? And basically, Jacob is the younger twin. He comes out second, but his mother favors him and the father favors Esau. And Esau's like big, tough. He's named for his red hair. And Jacob's like a trickster and like a kind of rough and ready. And basically, the mom helps Jacob steal his older brother's birthright.
Oh.
They set it up and like, so Esau's super hungry and he comes home and Jacob's like, I'll give you the soup if you give me your birthright. And basically takes the birthright from the older brother, which reminds me so much of the birth story of the twins when, like, at the dinner party in Gideon the Ninth, they say, like, your parents were willing to risk intervention, meaning, like, Ianthe was dying in the womb, and if she died, Corona would have been, like, this super powerful necromancer, but the parents intervened, allowing the second child to be
born.
The big necromancer.
And interrupted a murder. Well, so this is like part of what's always been like crazy to me is very clearly Tamsin said this thing about Canabeth and Abella and how she intended to have those names, which implies that Coronabeth is the evil murderous twin. True? Facts?
I mean, it would seem so.
Yeah, and on the one hand, you have Corona strangling Ianthe in the womb, and on the other hand, I like this thing of usurping birthright because it kind of could go either direction. We have our listeners who think that Corona is trying to get necro powers. You could usurp Ianthe's position, or Ianthe could usurp Corona's position as crown princess of Ida.
It's hard, yeah.
My like personal internal thing is that I'm so on board with the idea right now that they are working together on a master plan to rule the universe. This is like I'm all in on this, which doesn't help with the triplet thing or the Cain and Abel thing.
Perfect lictor process.
What happens if you try to lictor again if you have somebody who's already a lictor and you try to do perfect lictorhood?
You kick Babs out.
You think so? You can't just Russian doll? Like, if a lictor's a lictor.
Okay.
There's something here. There was a lot there. I think we established that this one was pretty unhinged. I really appreciated Colin's sign-off note, which was, I typed all this up on my phone while on break from work. I hope it was unhinged enough for y'all. And I was like, mwah, yes, it was. More.
Love it.
Okay. So I had no idea where to put these. There's a couple of random side comments we got that are too good to leave out. So Syl wrote, in an early episode, someone mentioned the Capuchin crypts, which John and I are obsessed with. Syl writes that while the ossuary in Rome is the more famous, the Bone Church in Kutna-Hora and Czechia is the better one. Check it out if you're not familiar. So someday y'all have to go watch this YouTube video because it is unhinged and we are going on a field trip. Additionally, Colleen wrote, in case you were interested about Ianthe's butthole commentary. We were. It's Colleen. Thank you. I believe it's a reference to this fisherman's prayer, links out, specifically the opening line, "Oh God, thy sea is so great and my boat is so small."
It is a reference, John. I think you were insistent. You're like, it must
also
be.
Boat and butt.
Colleen, this sent me to the moon, to use a phrase from John.
Thank you. Oh, this is great.
And,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was very good. And okay.
My boat is so small.
We're all children, but so is Tamsin. Tamsin's laughing at her own jokes, so you know. All right, Jacob wrote, so way back at the start of Gideon, you were talking about Harrow's obsession with the powder. And what Jacob means there is that Marie was talking.
Yes, sorry. I'm obsessed with powder.
Yeah, you kept trying to give me the powder. I don't want the freaking powder. You want it.
At some point there, we suggested that it was because Harrow has read precisely one non-necromancy book, a romance, and she got the idea there. I propose that the romance in question is the Noniad, which Harrow secretly loves. Hence her memorization of it to the point where she can recite it.
It's like nostalgic, right?
Yes. I love every part of this, and I really do like the idea that, in fact, Harrow kind of digs the Noniad. Like, kind of can't help herself.
I think she's a romantic at heart, for sure.
Yes. Yeah, if she hadn't had such a hard life to live.
I want to briefly turn it over. I really would love to hear anything that Lizzi wants to bring to our newbies before we kick them the fuck off the boat.
I was originally going to bring up the is Sarpede and Judith's dad conversation here, but I was told you guys all already came to the same conclusion on that theory, so...
Wait. This
I don't think
familiar,
so.
But
Did Hannah lie to me?
Okay, so my memory is that in the As Yet Unsent episode, Brooke's whole thing was that Judith is a Nepo baby.
Yeah, we did talk about it. We didn't know who the dad was, I think.
We don't know. We don't know.
Right, so maybe we're making assumptions, but like I thought we had all agreed that it was the admiral.
Well,
That she was the child of the commander of the fleet.
I forgot the admiral was Sarpedon, that we'd met him.
That's the problem for you. Okay, you didn't know it was Sarpedon. I just assumed there was only one admiral. I don't. There's only one fleet.
I forgot we met an admiral at all. Yeah, there's usually one admiral.
The fandom is split on this. Like, I think I saw a poll with like 1,000 votes or something. It was like pretty even. Like 60% said no and 40% said yes.
Can you elaborate on what the argument against it is? If her dad's the fleet admiral and we've met
The admirable fleet admiral.
I guess the theory against it is that the titles don't line up. Like, there are multiple admirals written about in the books. I'm like, now I don't know how to say it.
Sorry, it's contagious. There are multiple admirals in the books.
Her dad is the fleet admiral, and Sarpedon is the grand admiral. I'm
so sorry. You can't unhear it. Interesting.
But, like, historically, those are also the same person, so...
Love.
We don't know.
I like that it's true. Does it matter?
I think it's funnier if it's true.
It is funnier if it's true. It also, I think Brooke is right. It doesn't matter.
So I'm coming down on the yes. I mean, maybe it matters. Maybe we'll find out that it's a huge plot wedge at some point, but...
True. Okay, but I mean, if we're sticking on the Nepo baby topic, I've got more Nepo baby accusations up my sleeve.
Hell yes. Let's
tell us.
So I'm not sure how much y'all talked about the myth behind Cassiopeia's name.
No, you might have to give me a little background.
Yeah, so it comes down to the idea that a mother and daughter piss off the gods for some reason, and the daughter ends up chained to a rock, and the mother ends up getting banished to the sky as a constellation, which is pretty much exactly what happened to Cassiopeia and Anastasia. They're like the only two lictors who are explicitly working on perfect lictorhood, which Jod does not seem very keen on, so maybe he would not want that to happen. And then Anastasia gets sent to the ninth, which is essentially a big rock in space, and Cassiopeia is destined to spend the rest of her very long life in space running from resurrection beasts. So with that being said, I think it's plausible that Cassiopeia is Anastasia's, like, actual flesh and blood mother. Which would not only mean that Anastasia is a Nepo baby, but would also mean that Cassiopeia is part of the infamous Tombkeeper bloodline that Harrow's parents think is so important to preserve that they commit genocide.
Holy shit.
And Cassiopeia ends up in which house?
So she founded the sixth house.
Sixth.
And we've got a couple of instances. I mean, I don't know if we went into them, but there's a couple of things actually in Gideon, in like the sixth house study, that sort of intimate that Cassie has been working with Anastasia, actually.
What?
Like, it seems like they were collaborating. This is one of those, like, you go back and there's little, like, notes scribbled in the margin of the sixth house study. So I like the idea a lot. Marie and I, for the record, were already on board that they were working together and maybe collaborating on stuff. I had never fucking in a million years would I have considered.
Well, and I was already on board
like, related.
That Anastasia was from the sixth house.
That's
true.
Yeah. We talked about that as well.
Oh, that she founded the ninth house belatedly after being born as part of the sixth?
Yes. That she was a second wave and that she was from the sixth.
Okay.
Oh my God.
That's
also,
cool.
Like, holy fucking shit.
I
think that the implications
so
here
What are the implications?
of the sixth house potentially carrying the blood of the
Tombkeepers
is like completely fascinating
what's that
to me.
worth?
I mean, I don't think we know yet, but someone cares.
I
like
mean-
the Reverend Mother and Father cared.
So you think that information died with them?
Well, no, to literally murder 200 babies because it was so important that it be a necromancer that they had with their own blood. Like, so you're right. That could totally be just like
A pride thing?
a superstition or something. But I don't know. I mean,
It's pretty fucked up.
I
and
think
they
this
didn't
is so
seem-
interesting.
They didn't seem dead evil. Okay. I don't know.
No,
Interesting.
just culty.
I like it. Okay. Cool. Maybe that'll come up again.
I hope so. I am obsessed with the thing that they have going on, personally. Like, these just little tidbits we get
Yes.
of the pre-Lictor
That's
period.
John level shit.
I'm giving this a solid 8 out of 10, I think.
Oh my gosh, this is huge for me.
Nothing's gotten a 10 for you, John.
What's a 10?
You know it when you see it.
You gotta
right?
unhinge your jaw and
Yeah.
swallow something in order to really
Some people pay extra for that.
God damn it. All right, what else? Blow my mind again.
No, I gotta keep it short. We still have tons of theories to get through after you guys.
Bad news bears for our newbies, because we're gonna call it a wrap on our spoiler-free fan theories. Brooke looks so sad. Brooke, John, goodbye forever. Until next week.
Bye, Lizzie. It's been fun.
Bye, nice to meet you.
And if you, dear listener, are like Brooke and me, reading along for the first time, make sure you find our reading calendar on our website, frontlinefifth.podbean.com, or follow us on Instagram or TikTok. And to support us, you can buy merch or join our Patreon, all of which are linked in the show notes. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends, give us a 5-star rating anywhere you can, and if you didn't like it, feel free to lie. We had the honor this week of hosting Lizzi on the podcast. You can find more of their work at Lizard99 on TikTok and at Landmine People on Tumblr.
That's lizard with 2 Z's. Lizard.
Still working on my ad read for our eventual sponsorships. It'll get better. I promise. Now head off to sleep, my baby necros, mommy, daddy, and cousin Lizzie. Oh, God, no, I don't like that at all. Have some deep spoilers to discuss.